In the year 1099, the armies of the First Crusade stormed the holy city of Jerusalem. What followed was a massacre. Thousands killed in the streets, the city's Muslim and Jewish populations put to the sword. For the next century, the Crusader states held a fragile grip over the Levant. The Islamic world, fractured by rivalries between caliphs, sultans, and warlords, seemed incapable of mounting a unified response. Into this broken world, a child was born in the fortress city of Tikrit, a child who would change the course of history. Salahuddin Yusuf ibn Ayyub was born in 1137 or 1138, the son of a Kurdish military commander named Najm ad-Din Ayyub. On the very night of his birth, his family was forced to flee Tikrit, an omen, perhaps, of a life defined by movement and conflict. He grew up in Baalbek and Damascus, cities of learning and culture, where he studied Islamic law, theology, and the poetry of the Arabs. Those who knew him in youth described a quiet, serious young man, more drawn to scholarship than to the sword. But destiny had other plans.
But who was the man behind the legend? Salahuddin grew up in Tikrit and later Baalbek, raised in a family of soldiers and administrators. His father, Najm ad-Din Ayyub, served the powerful Zengid dynasty, and young Yusuf was educated in theology, law, and the arts of war. By his 20s, he was serving under his uncle Shirkuh in the Syrian military. Those who knew him described a young man of deep religious conviction, sharp intelligence, and a quiet intensity that made men want to follow him. He was not born to power. He had to earn every step of it, and he did so through loyalty, patience, and an almost inhuman capacity for work. The world Salahuddin inherited was fractured. The Islamic world had been divided for generations. Rival caliphates, competing dynasties, petty rulers more interested in their own survival than in the Crusader threat on their doorstep. Salahuddin understood, with a clarity that few of his contemporaries shared, that unity was not just a religious ideal. It was a military necessity. Without it, Jerusalem would never be recovered. So before he could fight the Crusaders, he had to unite the Muslims. That work, diplomatic, military, relentless, consumed the first decade of his rule.
His path to power ran through Egypt. In 1163, his uncle Shirkuh, a general in the service of the Syrian ruler Nur ad-Din, was dispatched to Egypt to prevent it falling under Crusader influence. Salahuddin went with him. What began as a military expedition became something far greater. When Shirkuh died in 1169, Salahuddin stepped into his role as vizier of Egypt. Within months, he had consolidated real power. When Nur ad-Din himself died in 1174, Salahuddin moved swiftly, uniting Egypt and Syria under his rule. The fragmented Islamic world was beginning to find its center. The moment that defined Salahuddin's military genius came on the 4th of July, 1187, at a place called the Horns of Hattin, near the Sea of Galilee. He had lured the Crusader army, some 20,000 men under King Guy of Lusignan, into the open desert in the height of summer. He surrounded them. He cut off their water. He set fire to the dry grass around them. For 2 days, the Crusaders fought in desperate thirst and choking smoke. By the time the battle ended, the Crusader army had been destroyed. King Guy was captured. The true cross, the Crusaders' most sacred relic, was taken. The road to Jerusalem lay open. Salahuddin reached the walls of Jerusalem in September 1187. The city surrendered on the 2nd of October, 88 years, almost to the day, since the Crusaders had taken it. What happened next stunned the Christian world. There was no massacre. Salahuddin negotiated ransoms, allowed thousands to leave safely, and personally intervened to free those who could not pay. Christian churches were left standing. The contrast with 1099 could not have been starker. Even his enemies wrote of his mercy. The medieval chronicler Ibn Shaddad recorded that Salahuddin wept at the suffering of those he could not ransom. Jerusalem was free. Europe's response was immediate. Pope Gregory VIII called for a new crusade. 3 kings answered, but it was Richard I of England, Richard the Lionheart, who would prove Salahuddin's greatest adversary. For 2 years they fought across the coast of the Holy Land, at Acre, at Arsuf, at Jaffa. Richard was a brilliant tactician. So was Salahuddin. Neither could deliver the killing blow. In September 1192, they signed the Treaty of Ramla. Jerusalem would remain under Muslim control. Christian pilgrims would have free access to the holy sites. It was not victory for either man, but it was peace. And between these 2 warriors, something remarkable had grown, a mutual respect that transcended the war itself. Salahuddin returned to Damascus. He was 55 years old and exhausted. He died on the 4th of March, 1193, just 7 months after the treaty. When his treasurer counted his estate, he found 1 gold coin and 47 silver pieces. A man who had ruled an empire stretching from Egypt to Mesopotamia died with almost nothing because he had given everything away. He was buried in Damascus, where his tomb still stands today. 8 centuries later, his name is spoken with reverence across the Islamic world and with admiration far beyond it. Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, the man who recaptured Jerusalem, who showed the world that power and mercy need not be enemies, and whose legend has never faded.
For more history, click subscribe and the bell icon for our multiple weekly releases.